What's up, everybody? Happy Friday to you. We made it. We made it. I love the conversations that are happening this political cycle. A lot of times they're like usual suspect things, but this political cycle, I love the conversations. And I think this is the first time that I'm actually interested in American politics, when it comes to the social conversations around the political candidates and the rationality for why certain people are advocating or not advocating for certain candidates. And, as I said before, I believe that Black men are gravitating more to a Republican position for a variety of different reasons, but it's really how the Democratic Party have done a good job of propping Black women or Black looking women above Black men. They do this, right? But they do this for a variety of different reasons because obviously, after narrating the image of a Black man as being threatening, criminalized, you know what I mean? It's hard to put a Black man in front of the American people and actually have him as being a beacon of trust, even though they were able to pull that off with Obama, because Obama, he did not take on, if I could characterize Obama, he looked more like a Black philosopher. He had a friendly looking face, right? And he was not so dark, but he wasn't so light that, his Blackness couldn't fully shine. Obviously, I think that they had to Blackify Barack Obama probably a little bit more because I don't think that being raised by a white mother, he really had the mindset of a Black image or idealism of a Black man. That wasn't his background. Barack Obama is very much like Drake, right? Drake had to Blackify himself, obviously, because he was raised by his non-Black mother. So fast forward, we're talking, Kamala Harris is on the ticket being kind of reappropriated as this, Black woman, right? And, this guy makes an interesting point. Like I said, Foreign Insight is the Insight podcast. And I like to show love to people. He made a great point when he said that, they used to have the 1% rule, right? If you're 1% Black, that makes you Black. But the problem is, and I think that they realized over time that would make a lot of white people Black if that were the case, because if you were to run the DNA of many Black people, you're going to find African DNA in them, and it could be more than 1%. So how do they reconcile that, right? So I think that they've kind of moved away from those racist ideological thought of one drop of Black blood makes you Black, because there were way too many mulattoes passing during slavery that actually created white-looking children and generations of white-looking people in this nation. And there's so many situations in America and cases like that where white people thought that they were white when really they are products of mulatto passing slaves. But getting back to the political cycle, Umar Johnson, he's making some really good logical points about how the Democrat Party is propping Kamala Harris and why they're propping Kamala Harris. And like I said, she checks more boxes than Black. That's the thing. The Kamala Harris card checks more boxes than Black, right? And the Democrats know that. She is a woman. She's ambiguous in her race, and she kind of checks some pretty major race groups in America. Right? And so this is leverage. And don't just take it from me. Let's listen to Omar for a second. And this is just fair usage.
When Black people and white people and so-called people of color raised millions of dollars for her overnight, Black people were energized to once again get interested in the election because she's a woman and she's often misrepresented as a Black woman. And so that's why Black people are interested now, Baba, because all of this happened within the past 2 to 3 weeks. Black people would not be this excited about this election if it was still Trump or Biden. And
And to his point, and I've said this several times, when Kamala Harris ran for president, Black people were not checking for her. She didn't seem to have a lot of support, even from the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris did not have the backing, the support, right? It wasn't until Biden selected her as his VP after she pretty much narrated the dude as a essay, predator. She, geekfully became his VP, and then all of a sudden the Democratic Party did their propaganda to energize Black people about this first Black female vice president. Right. And, he's making great points here that they're just noticeable patterns.
And the reason the Democrats went with Kamala Harris and not a Democrat, because there's other qualified Democrats, they went with Kamala Harris because there were 10 million more women, regardless of race. There were 10 million more women in America registered to vote than men during the last midterm. So the Democrats are hoping that Kamala Harris, being a woman and being Black and being so-called person of color, that she will be able to attract to the Democratic Party
so she's a card to play.
Share of those 10 million women who outnumber men in the next election.
Yes.
That's why they're putting her out front.
Yes.
Yeah, we have Cynthia on the phone line, but before we go
so
to
it's
Cynthia,
never about qualifications, and I think this is what people need to understand. A lot of these people are Manchurian candidates, right? They've been in these little elite circles, whether they slept their way up. They are, Manchurian candidates because they are cards to play, right? Kamala Harris has checked several different struggle group, if you will, boxes, right? And it's important for people to recognize that, while we're thinking that she is being propped because of some qualification that she has to have this job, excuse me, I think realistically people need to understand that she's being propped because she checks identity boxes.
Again, that you appear to have a lot of negative things to say about Kamala, but I don't hear you say a lot of negative things about Donald Trump.
We can talk about Trump if you want.
Here comes the...
Okay, so they're on this guy is commentating, and I don't want to kind of jack off his commentating. I want to just focus on what Umar is saying. But, this is an older Black gentleman who is rebutting, Umar, right? And so older Black people have a commitment to the Democratic Party because it goes back to that generational rhetoric and idealism that the Democratic Party is more supportive of Black people and for disenfranchised people, which consequently they are the ones who create the disenfranchisement, but they are more for them than the Republican Party, right? So this is the mindset that many Black people have and have been conditioned into having. But a lot of that is because many of them don't know how the social economic systems work. They don't understand how, these political parties work. They don't understand how trickle-down economics can work both ways. They don't really understand these things. They just kind of understand who's talking on my struggle, who's talking on, a perpetuated position about me, like they care, right? And that's where a lot of people kind of go there.
And Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Black men can't critique her. They go back to whataboutism. What about Trump?
Okay. So, and that's the thing then. This is a Black man talking, all right? And the reason why I emphasize this is because Black men have a less emotional position about political matters, right? They're not talking about it's time for us, the first woman of this, right? Because I think, again, if you are real about just the policies and the issues, Kamala Harris has supported policies. To me, if you're a parent, if you're a mother, you shouldn't be supportive of this woman, right? Because, all of these policies, created legal for them to strip you in very creative ways of your rights to protect your child from social movement nonsense that are perpetuated by so-called credible institutions in America. But off that, let's go.
About anybody.
No, but what I'm saying is, listen, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I'm not loyal to no Caucasians or East Indians. I'm loyal to African liberation. So if you want to talk about Trump, let's talk about Trump. But nobody's going to sit here and act like I'm a Trumper or a Trump loyalist. I'm not voting for him, and I just gave you 2 big reasons why.
I told you.
But I am not going to endorse this woman just because she claims to be black when it benefits her. I'm not doing it. And
all right, let's talk to.
Okay, and see, this is the thing that they want for black men, and this is what they are just, I think that it's poor assumption to believe that every black man who's not supporting Kamala Harris is somehow a Trumper, or he is a Trump loyalist or something like that, or even that he's voting for Donald Trump. Right? He could just be a man that says, you know what, I'm neutral in all of the mess, because I see in some of these black people's mind who are more conscious, right? All they see is 2 white supremacists, no matter what she looks like, right? They just see 2 white supremacists. They don't delineate, in situations where you got a black looking person on the line that happens to be a woman, right? But for a lot of these people, it's just like, we don't want to have anything to do with it. And I think the problem is that people keep bringing black men in, coercing black men to make positions and endorsements that they're just not comfortable making. And it's like, look, I don't have a position on any of this, and I don't have an endorsement, on any of this. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them are going to vote in silence. And like many black people, they're going to act like they support Kamala, but they're going to vote for Trump.
To Cynthia on the
because
phone.
of her identity.
Good afternoon, Cynthia.
Well, good afternoon. Peace and blessings.
It's about her not having nothing on the table to be.
Dr. Omar,
So Dr. Umar says that really his opposition to Kamala Harris is really about her not having anything on the table for what he feels like for black people, right? He doesn't feel like she's going to do anything for black people. So, for him, she's not exciting for him. He don't care how black looking she is.
on the phone. So, yes. We have somebody on the phone, Dr. Omar.
Yes.
I'm almost forgetting what I wanted to ask.
Sorry.
I've been on here so long. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Omar, I heard
again,
you
fair
say
usage.
that
I just
we
wanna-
need to listen to both Kamala and Trump. I don't want to listen
And
to
this
Trump
was
no more.
published
I don't
on
wanna hear
60
anything he
MVTV.
says,
Emotion.
because I know who he is. We don't need
All right, so this lady is saying that she does not want to listen to anything else that Trump says, right? She says that we already know who he is, right? Obviously, that is an emotional position if you don't really have a strong foundation for, what is your perception of who he is that makes you feel like he should not be listened to? And what is it about, what has Kamala Harris done for you that makes you believe that she should?
We're listening to Kamala Harris. Why? I understand you don't want to listen to Trump. Why should we listen to her?
No, you won't let me finish.
I'm asking a question. Why should we listen to her?
I want to finish. I need no more information about Trump. Anyone that wants to uphold him and vote for him, they're foolish. Kamala
Emotional.
Harris, I choose.
Here it goes.
So here's her emotional position again, right? She like Umar Johnson is asking her a very clear question. You know, why shouldn't we listen to him? Why should we listen to her? And she's like going into this emotional diatribe. And this is where Black women, right? The Democratic Party will always have their clutches on them because the Democratic machine in itself is ran by a bunch of emotionally imbalanced people.
I'm not here on the phone to do that. But
what has she done for Black people?
What has she done for Black people?
She's done some things. Well, you ain't gave me an answer yet.
I apologize, Cynthia. He coming kind of hard on you. And I think you seem to be so.
Okay, so this older man is apologizing to the caller because he says he's coming down pretty hard on an older lady, right? But he's asking her very straightforward questions. What has Kamala Harris done for Black people? And she can't answer the question, right? Because she is committed to her emotional position, about not voting for Trump, right? Because obviously she has bought into the propaganda and obviously she's indoctrinated by the Democrats. And so she doesn't have to really put Kamala Harris's credibilities on the table, right? She can just focus on the fact that she can focus on, Trump not at least, having the qualifications that she believes that Kamala Harris has. And that's it. Like, no rationalities. This is emotional, right? And it's part of it is propaganda indoctrination.
Negative towards.
Okay. So you can't talk bad about Kamala Harris. You can't challenge what she's done. You can't challenge anything about her. And this is the Democratic position.
David Barnes.
You trying to be to Donald Trump. I don't understand that. It seems like you're being anti-Black.
I'm being anti-Black by not voting for a woman who's anti-Black. Please explain that.
I don't know how you can say that she's
anti-Black by not voting for a woman who's anti-Black. Please.
I don't know. I ain't seen it being anti-Black.
How is she anti-Black, though, Dr. Omar?
Because she sat in an interview. It's all over YouTube.
This dude tried to say.
So, and I'm trying not to commentate over his commentary, but here we are, right? Umar is being accused of being anti-Black, right? Because he's not supporting Kamala Harris, right? And I've heard Democrats have the audacity to try to strip Black people's Blackness away from them if they do not vote in a certain manner. And it's not just what Joe Biden said to Charlamagne tha God. Democrats have said or questioned people, called out people's Blackness, right, forever if they don't vote Democrat. And for them, voting Democrat is a fabric of Blackness. And they're realizing now that a lot of Black people don't buy that bag of garbage anymore. And they are like, no, that's a plantationary mindset, right? It's a herd mentality mindset. And a lot of Black people are becoming more independent from that herd mentality because it hasn't served us. It has not served us well at all.
Every mayor we've had.
I'm sorry, old man River.
I'm not going to insult the old man.
Anything just for Black people.
That's
Those
true.
are her exact words.
True.
Her exact words. I am quoting her. We are not going to do anything just for Black people.
So it looks like.
Here's the thing. I don't think that Kamala Harris's statements, I don't feel like they're being properly, comprehended, because I think that what she's saying is that we're not going to do anything exclusively for Black people, right? whatever, and I heard her. I heard the whole statement. She was saying that whatever they do, right, is going to serve Americans. And I said this before, and I will say it again. And some people may disagree with me, but if I were a politician elected, by more than Black people, right? Because most of the time it's not Black people truly getting people elected. People, it can make or break a person getting elected depending on the participation of Black people. But if I were a Black politician, absolutely, I would be looking at the systems that have been allowed to be set up to disenfranchise Black people disproportionately from any other groups. Absolutely. And we'd be taking those systems on, right? But I would not be going there specifically to help Black people. That's not what all of these other people have elected you to do. And I think that people need to be intelligent about that when we're looking at Black politicians, right? Because if a white politician, and this is the contradiction, right, that people need to really understand, if a white contradiction, if a white politician went into Washington like, I'm gonna do everything I can for white people, that would be very problematic to non-white people. Right? So we have to go into these offices with the same mindset that we would expect from other people. Even if you got people in these positions in Washington who are in there with their self-interest, private interest and stuff, you don't have to be that creature. You don't have to be that kind of snake, right? You can go in there benefiting everybody, because I'm sorry, when I look at policies like NAFTA, it disproportionately hurt the Black workers, absolutely, but it also disproportionately hurt rural white American workers as well, because we do have a labor technician manufacturing, most of our American populations are those types of people. So to remove their jobs, displace them in their jobs, right? That doesn't just impact Black people, it impacts everybody. And I think any politician that is going to serve in the United States government should never have a one-track mind of who they are serving. And that's the problem with American politics today, is people are going in there with one-track minds. And we can't promote these one-track minds in any slick type of way. I don't care what you look like.
Talking, see, Dr. Omar, you were talking about not us being emotional, but it looks like
you're defending white supremacy. You're defending white supremacy, and you ain't gave me one reason why we should vote for her yet.
Or him.
Neither one of you have given me a single reason why Black people should vote for Kamala Harris. You want Donald Trump, but you ain't got a reason for this.
But you don't say that. You don't say either one. We got Wes on the phone line from Southwest Philadelphia. Good afternoon, Wes.
You've been having these little surges.
Wes said he ain't did this, man.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Yes, I hear you.
I hear you.
Okay, I wanted to direct my comments specifically to Dr. Umar, if I may. And Dr. Umar, as a Black man who lives here in Philadelphia, I am an elder, and I simply want to say to you,
He's an elder.
I appreciate the fact that you speak, act, and walk as a Black man, and that you do so unapologetically, because there seems to be a concerted effort across the country right now to force Black men to stand in line, to get in line, and to sort of get on board with everything we're being told.
Thank you.
You're asking them to deny reality.
So this is a good elder. This is a good elder, right? This is a good Black male elder. These two other older gentlemen, they are the problem in the Black community, right? They are the reason why generationally, young, Black people are making pigeonhole decisions, because in the cage of irrationality, these are the gatekeepers. These are the gatekeepers to make sure that all the little Black birdies stay in the cage of indoctrination and democratic mindset, right? I appreciate elders like this brother who is on the phone.
As we're being deprioritized, oh boy, you're being devalued. and you're being pushed aside by other people who have not made similar contributions to the United States. They're being given things in your face.
Facts.
He's talking about these immigrants, right? You know, and this is the thing. I sympathize with Black men 100% on not just falling in line with a Black-looking person because they tell you to do it. There are a lot of Black men who do not have that democratic plantationary mindset anymore. And this is why I made the comment that, you know, in many ways, Black men are smarter than Black women because they're not taking an emotional position to why they're not falling in line, right? They are taking a logical position. They're not taking a herd mentality position. They are taking a logical position. And so I say this to say kudos to Black men for standing their ground and not falling in line to the herd mentality of the democratic order, and actually, you know, having the balls to say, you know what, I'm not endorsing anything that doesn't serve me, that I don't see where the clear benefits for us is. And I think Black constituents should see, you know, some type of action outside of a statue or a hijacked holiday, you know, that the Democrats are doing for Black people, because there are a lot of systems set up that within the corporation space, and we know that the corporations are side chicks to the U.S. government, right, that are set up, and there's a lot of nepotism in the United States. There's a lot of monopolies. There are a lot of so many things that are set up beyond Black people that are set up to stop people from being autonomous, to stop people from creating and building something of their own. You have all these little slimy leeches always ready to steal people's ideas and innovations. There's a lot of things that are set up in this system that holds back a lot of people from succeeding. And I think that Black men are smart enough to realize that when you are setting up the usual suspect systems that we have actually been able to be successful in, and now we can't be successful in these systems, I don't see a reason to vote for you or advocate for you. So that is the thought for today. And I, like I said, kudos to Black men and even the Black women who are smart enough to say, you know what, I'm tired of being in this bandwagon of ignorance, gatekeeper. I'm going to fly off and go ahead and think on my own. And kudos to people like that. So let me know what you guys think, and we can talk about. I don't think I need to do a live stream. We almost at 30 minutes on this video alone. But comment. And if you like this content, definitely subscribe. Bye.